Well, I was raised in a good pastor's home with a wonderful, loving family. We pastored in a little town in Oklahoma, and I love the Lord, and we all just love the Lord. We had a great ministry there, and I knew as a young child that God had something great for my life. I knew that God was going to do something wonderful with me. I mean, I had this love for God. But things began to happen in the church being, when you go through problems, you really want your people to stand with you, right?
Yes.
You want them to love you and stand with you and pray for you, not gossip and backbite and do things that would harm you. And that did not happen. Some things happened in my family, and my parents were going through some marital problems, and the church did not stand with them.
Oh, I'm so sorry.
It's sad. And it really put a division in our home and our family and just in the church. And so the Lord had spoke to us to go on the evangelistic field, that, it's time to go. We've been here long enough. We had a church of like 300 people in a town of 900.
That's pretty good.
It was really well, but the Lord just said, it's time for you to go. And because we did not listen to the voice of God at that time and continue to stay, that the Lord just allowed these things to happen to move us on. And that's what happened. That's the church split, and then we left and we went on the evangelistic field, and we traveled for 5.5 years all around the United States preaching the gospel. Well, as a young child, though, I was made fun of a whole lot. I was bullied. I was overweight, and so I had a lot of insecurity problems. And then when we went on the evangelistic field, it was even worse because there was no structure and accountability and discipline like you would think, in being in a stable home, where you go to school every day and you do these different things. So that really just took the toll, just bitterness inside of me as a young girl. And then when we were on the evangelistic field, I was raped at 16.
Oh, my goodness.
Yeah. And it really took a toll on myself, on who I am. I already hated myself. I didn't love myself because I didn't think I was beautiful enough, or that I wasn't worthy enough, Satan had really, really made me think differently. Well, I started the bulimia when I was about 15 because I was 200 pounds at the age of 15, and I felt just disgusted with myself. And so I started this eating disorder, the bulimia. And at first it was just here and there and, just splats of it, And then it began to get worse after the rape. And my parents never quit praying for me. They knew that I was in a harmful way. They knew. But what could they do about it? They would love me through it. And so, but that's really where it all started. And then we settled down in Henderson, Texas to build a church. God said, okay, this is what needs to be done. And at that point in my life, I did not know how to get it together. We had been traveling for so long, and God was pushed on me for so long. By this time, I wanted nothing to do with God. Nothing. And so I started getting into the life of drug addiction and alcoholism, and I started partying and getting really hard. I got involved with the drug cartel, running dope and selling dope.
Wow.
At 17, I was using cocaine. By the time I was 19, 20, I was on heroin, meth, you name it. I've done it. By the age of 22, I had 17 different charges against me and many, many, many warrants out for my arrest. I think it was like 17. And my bond was $1.5 million.
Wow.
Yeah. And I was one of those girls that if you do it, you do it. And so now I've taken that, it's because I was all out for the enemy. Now I'm all out for God and saying this is what God can do. He can change your life.
Yeah,
After I was taken to... I was booked, and I turned myself in a $1.5 million bond. And then I got a 5-year prison. I got a 5-year prison sentence on the second-degree felony, and I got a 10-year adjudicated probation carrying 30-year prison sentence on the first-degree felony. They got all the other charges dropped. So I went to prison, and I served 18 months out of my 5-year, 18 months out of the 5-year prison sentence. I was 22, and I had it together somewhat, but you name it. They tell you what to do. They tell you when to eat, when to sleep, when to wake up. You don't want that in your life.
Well, you finally got some structure, though.
Yes, I did.
You got lots of structure.
I finally got some structure, but, I was sent to the psychiatric ward and I spent 7 months on the psychiatric ward.
Wow.
For the eating disorder.
Oh, okay.
And the mind just really just mentally struggling with everything. And so at this point, I gave my life back to the Lord and said, okay, God, I'll serve you. But see, it was jailhouse religion. It was not a heart change.
Wow.
It was jailhouse. And so I was like, okay, God, if you will parole me out of prison, I will serve you. I'll give you my life. And I know that the Lord tested me. I know he did. Because, see, I was paroled out of prison. I made parole on December 31st, 2007. I was paroled out of the Women's State Prison after serving 18 months of confining altogether. And within 3 weeks, I was right back to my addiction.
My goodness.
I was right back. See, I could not do drugs anymore because I was having to take a drug test every week. But I was drinking a fifth of whiskey a day, Jack Daniel's whiskey a day. But I did not know how to live my life different this time. How do you get out of something like that, of really being involved with drugs and alcohol and the life and the party life and the really, really getting involved with it? How do you do that? It's Jesus. That's how you do it.
Yeah.
After 11 months of struggle trying to handle parole and probation and eating disorder doctors and outpatient rehab and therapy and this eating and disorder that I had, my parents kept telling me about a place called Teen Challenge. I'm sure that you know about Teen Challenge. Phenomenal program.
Yes.
And I did not really want to go because I knew I was going to have to work on myself. I was going to have to let all of my demons go and choose a new way of life. And I just truly wasn't ready for that yet, but I had to go. Something had to change. Yeah. And before I went to the program, I made a mistake, and I did drugs. And when I went in to see my probation officer, I failed my drug test. One dirty UA, okay, only one. And I was locked up on December the 2nd, 2008. And on December the 18th, 3 weeks later, I was given a 40-year prison sentence for breaking my probation.
My goodness.
40 years at the age of 24? Your whole life is basically gone because of your choices. Because you do not choose to live a better life, to take the old life and take a new life. Get rid of the old and take a new. But that was where God changed my life. It was a blessing and a curse all at the same time. So I went back to serve my 40-year prison sentence. And in that meantime, though, while I was in jail, God sent a woman to me. She had been coming to the jail to minister. And she came in and she said, Janie, I come to tell you. She said, the Lord spoke to me the day that you got your sentence, because I'm telling you, it spread like wildfire through the county. She said, I come to see you that day, but you would not hear me. You wouldn't see no one. I was angry. I was angry at God for allowing this to happen to me. If you're such a loving God, then why would not you choose to deliver me, to set me free? But it was only my choice to have to serve him. Right. So she come and she said, Janie, she said, the Lord told me to tell you that it's not over until he says it's over, for he has the final say in your life.
Yes.
The final say, and he did. Right. So I went back to prison to serve my 40-year prison sentence, and in that prison cell is when I gave my life truly to God. I think I just got tired of fighting, and I knew that my life would only be better as if I would give my life to Jesus. It was just me and Jesus in the cell. You hear me? Wow. It was no preacher. There was nothing. It was just me and the one who died for me. And he said, Janie, let me use you. You have a story, you have a life, and I have something to give you. Take it. So I released my choices in my life, and I put it in his hands that day, and I said, God.
And you quit blaming everybody else.
I quit. It was my problem.
Yeah.
It was me. And I said, okay, God, I choose. If you can use me, then do it. I give you my life right now. And I took his life and gave him mine. And back at home, my parents had been going, they went to 17 different attorneys to find out if my sentence could be overturned, and no one would take my case. No one. Well, my previous attorney called my parents somehow, and he said, you know what, I ain't been able to eat or sleep or nothing since the sentence. He said, so what I'm going to do is I'm going to take her case up pro bono, and we're going to go in front of this new judge who got on the bench. See, the Lord worked a miracle. The judge who sentenced me, she resigned, and a new judge was brought into office. And that new judge heard my case. After 6 weeks from the day that I was sentenced, the new judge heard my trial, heard my case. And I went in completely broken. I was 84 pounds, sick, wow. Had nothing to lift. All I was doing is asking for mercy. Will you give me mercy? you know what? She saw something in me. God saw something in me that I did
Praise
not
the Lord.
see in myself.
Praise the Lord.
So she said, you know what, Miss Burkett, this was a very hard case. After I told her everything, and I repented and I said I was sorry for the things that I had done. And she said, what she did is she said, I'm going to overturn your prison sentence and give you she gave me a new trial, overturn my prison sentence, and sent me to the Teen Challenge program so that I can become whole and the woman that God has for me to be. So I was ordered to the Teen Challenge program on February the 6th, 2009, and I went through 13 months of that hardcore program, but it changed my life.
Oh, wow.
It changed my life. I just want to encourage you that God has a plan for your life. It says in Jeremiah 29:11 that He has a plan for you, that no matter what, He knows what you're supposed to do, for God has a plan.
Hallelujah.
And I just pray right now that you, wherever you are in your life, that God would bring you, that you would go to that place and that you would just touch the hand of God and give your life to Him. Take what you have done and use it for God's glory.